Good morning.
Good morning.
Introduce myself. I'm Tom Malloy. Here in the class of 61 at the University of San Francisco. I'm the present chair of the board of Trustees. And this will be my last year doing that. At 4 years, I've been around the board and on the board since 1996. So I'm going to take a leave here before long, but I've really enjoyed the opportunity. I've been very lucky, and I've given back to the university, both of my time and financially, which I'm very proud of. My wife and I are very proud of. It's something that if you ever have a chance and you're lucky enough and you're compelled, I recommend it to you. Private institutions like the university need help like that. And basically that's all I want to say about my background and what my wife and I have done over the years. I first came to Sears Point in 1992 and did a 3-day driving school here. And I brought with me my plaque. Steve Barber, Sears Point Raceway, October 7th, 1992. I came up, a friend of mine who knows I like racing gave me a gift for one of the occasions, birthday or something.
Were you the one that put that crack in the wall?
And I came up here. My dad had race cars in a racetrack, and I grew up around them. And I was not allowed to drive race cars. It was a very treacherous time. It's still, very difficult. Some things that can happen, but it was a very treacherous time back in those days. You really didn't make it. People were dying all the time. And so anyway, he passed away young because of lung cancer. And about 25 years after he passed away, I said, maybe he won't mind. So I came up and did the school, and it was everything I thought it was going to be. I mean, it was. And I've done all kinds of vintage car racing since then. And I brought another picture up. This is me going over, this is turn 2 here at Sonoma. And one of my race cars right there. And I've raced here as early as, or late as, what was the last race? CRG?
CSRG.
Yes.
October.
Yeah, I raced here in October. So.
And you won.
Well, I didn't win here, but I've run a few races that I'm very proud of. But anyway, this is just one of the great racetracks in the country. The challenging 12-turn racetrack up and down the carousel over here in the back that you can't see it. Do they drive out there with these cars?
No.
Well, I mean, this is a great corner. It's downhill, just a really good racetrack, and I'm honored to be able to say that I've driven on this racetrack and did fairly well for a vintage race car driver. And I'm looking at none other than the president and general manager of the racetrack. His name is Steve Page. You're a Cal graduate. And before entering the sports arena, he spent several years on Capitol Hill as press secretary for then U.S. Congressman Leon Panetta, another Northern California. Steve joined Sonoma Raceway 11 years ago, working in marketing and special events. Steve joined Sonoma Race after 11 years working for the Oakland A's. Yeah. And you were there doing the 1987 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Yeah, quite a job. Under Steve's leadership, Sonoma Raceway has gone through this big capital campaign, upgrading and transforming the facility in one of the premier motorsports racing venues in the country. The Raceway annually hosts the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Rising Indy Cars, drag racing, and a variety of other professional and amateur automotive events. Among his many activities away from his office, Steve serves on the board of directors of Speedway Children's Charities and the Road Racing Industry Council. He is also a former chair of both the North Bay Leadership and Sonoma County Tourism Council. and Steve, along with Jerry Wheeler and USF alum Matt Ellis, back by the door. Don. Have been so kind to donate the racetrack today so that we could all have fun with these cars. So with that, Steve, would you come up?
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about the racetrack.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much and welcome. I hope folks can hear me back there. I'd like to welcome all of the USF alumni, and I think it's terrific that you are here and are involved in supporting your school. As a 1980 Cal grad, I look back, college as the best 8 years of my life, and have been do my best to support my alma mater, and it's terrific that you guys do as well. I know that you are all anxious to get in the cars. I think any activity where there's a button that puts a vehicle into something called insane mode is something that you don't want to wait around for. So I promised Susan I would keep my remarks under an hour. Is that okay? Just want to give you a quick overview of what we do here at the track and welcome you to winter in Sonoma as it is. As Tom said, we are known as a major event facility. We host the Premier NASCAR Series. We have Indy cars. In fact, the IndyCar champion will be crowned here in August because we host the finale of the IndyCar Series. We have a drag strip here where we host the NHRA national event, vintage racing, a variety of other spectator events. But what really goes on here day in, day out is what you see now. The track is in use about 340 days a year, a variety of different activities that layer on top of one another, product demonstrations like we have these beautiful Teslas. If you look over here in the paddock, we have something called the Highway Survival Course. You got a lot of teenagers over there who've just gotten their driver's licenses, are learning how to be safer drivers on the highways and how to deal with hazards when they encounter them. We are the home of the Audi Sports Car Experience, the Sim Raceway Racing School, which is the successor to the school that Tom took part in. And we also have an industrial park here with about 100 tenants who are all in the racing business in one form or another. So the track and the paddock and all of the real estate here is in constant use for testing and competition and automotive demonstrations, commercial shoots for manufacturers, and a variety of other things. And we were talking a little earlier, starting in March, every Wednesday night we have our Wednesday night drag racing program where you could come up with your car and get on a championship drag strip and find out test your mettle on the quarter mile. And we have people with big souped up dragsters, and we have people in their street cars. I mentioned that I once saw a woman in a Volvo station wagon with a baby in the child seat going down the drag strip on a Wednesday night. So it's pretty much run whatever you brung. But we touch a lot of forms of motor racing, a lot of things that are involved in sort of the cutting edge of automotive development. And one of the things that's been a real priority for us and why it's exciting to have a vehicle like the Tesla here today is that we have made a very conscious effort over the last decade to try and inject a little bit of a green ethos into what goes on in motor racing. And it's something that we've tried to set an example because our industry typically has not, when you think of sustainability, car racing is not necessarily the first thing that pops to mind. But we think that there is a very cogent, a very real intersection between sustainability and automotive performance, and you're going to get a prime example of that in just a few minutes. The things that really, from our standpoint, it's broken down into a couple of different areas. We've put a very heavy emphasis in the way we operate our facility. We have installed a 350 kilowatt solar electric generating system here. Nearly 50% of the energy that we use as a racetrack is generated from the sun, from the solar panels that are scattered around the property. We used to put a lot of mechanized equipment out around the 1,600 acres here to landscape and keep the grass short. We now have a team of 3,000 sheep that do that work for us over the course of the year, and a group of Peruvian shepherds that live on the property year round and maintain the flock. And so we're doing a lot of things just in the way we operate our business to try and set an example for others in the industry. But more importantly, we are trying in every way we can to be a hub for the latest in green automotive development. And the Tesla actually went through its late stage development testing here before the S sedan was introduced. We didn't even know what was going on. We sat in the office and saw these cars zooming around the track and there was no noise, and we finally figured it out because Tesla had a third party rent the track from us. But we have hosted summits here where we've brought together thought leaders from industry and academics and tried to make this the arena that people think of when it comes to developing the latest in green automotive technology. And as you're going to see today, electric cars have a performance characteristic, particularly the Tesla, which is really at the apex of electric automotive technology, that you put that car in a drag strip against a internal combustion car and it's going to win every time. So there are a lot of things happening, and the idea is that performance and sustainability are mutually exclusive is something we're trying to do our best to demonstrate as a fallacy. So that's just a quick overview. We are very pleased to have all of you out here, and I am very excited myself to get in the passenger seat of that car and and find out what it's capable of.
Thank you very much, and pleasure to be here on all of our behalves. We're just going to break in a minute, but I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce the president of the university. You're going to say some few words, but Father Paul Fitzgerald with the Society of Jesus, who will speak, and the dean of the business school, Dr. Elizabeth Davis, right there.
Thank you, Tom. Tom's story about getting into USF reminds me of one that I'll tell quickly. Wei Jin Chan, some of you might have been in the MBA program with Wei Jin a couple decades ago. Wei Jin, born and raised in China, sent off to the Gobi Desert during the Cultural Revolution for re-education because he was a smart guy. And so while he was in the Gobi Desert, taught himself English, got back to Beijing, finished his undergraduate degree, and then applied for MBA programs and got into Stanford, Cal, and USF. And so he goes to his mentor with these 3 letters of acceptance, and the guy says, reads the first, he goes, Leland Stanford Junior Memorial University. Well, you don't want to go to a junior college. And then you look at the Berkeley branch of the University of California. Well, you don't want to go to a branch campus. You got to go to USF. So when he came to USF, later he was partners with Dick Blum, Dianne Feinstein's husband. He's one of the most successful folks in Hong Kong, and just a great example of a USF alum. We get into college and choose a college for whatever reason. What's really important is how we're transformed while we're there, and then what we do subsequently with our lives. So we have 104,000 living alumni who came to USF from all over the world. 80+% of them chose to stay in California. 67% chose to stay in the Bay Area and have made it, along with the Bears and the Broncos and others, have made it one of the most dynamic regions in the world. Just to piggyback a bit on the sustainability, we've made a pledge to make the Hilltop carbon neutral by the year 2050. We have a cogen facility. We're going to build a couple of new residence halls on the upper campus and put in a fuel cell, reduce, reuse, recycle. And then, of course, we teach at the undergraduate and graduate level sustainability in majors, but we're weaving it into every one of our academic programs because, you can be green and it saves you a lot of green. And so it's business smart, it's environmentally smart, and it's an act of kindness towards our great-grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. I have none myself that I'm admitting to. For our alums, I have one favor to ask, and that is that regularly, when you impress the heck out of somebody, you say, oh, and by the way, I'm a dog. You are our best advertising. We have about a 3% increase of undergraduate applications this year over last. Last fall was our largest freshman class in history, 1,503. We have 15,000 apps. This year we're going to be above 16,000 apps. For our graduate programs, we kibitz around, so Georgetown, and so we talk to each other about what's going on. Georgetown's grad apps are down 7%. Marquette's are down 13%, because when the economy's good, people are getting great jobs, so they don't go into a master's. When the economy's bad, people step out and get that degree. We're up 1% in our grad apps. Because the region is so dynamic and so strong, and we're launching new programs all the time, and we're offering degree programs that meet people's needs. So, if you got one USF degree, you might think of a second or third. We're up here in Santa Rosa, we're in Pleasanton, we're in Sacramento, we're in San Jose, we're in Orange, and we're expanding on every single one of those footprints. And we have 365 students in fully online graduate programs. So. Our biggest branch campus, actually, and we're in downtown San Francisco at 101 Howard, so I guess that's our biggest branch, but the virtual campus would be number 2. So I want to turn it back over to Tesla. Thank you. Thanks, folks here, for hosting us, and I look forward to getting a chance to meet some of you today. Thanks for coming.